Sponsored by Total Quartz Lubricants.
Welcome to stage 9 of the Telefonica Dakar 2005. The motorcycles are all together literally. It's going to be a tight race all the way to the finish. Problems though for Stefan Pederhansel, the reigning Dakar champion, his Mitsubishi smoking upon arrival this evening. The Kamaz of Khabirov is continuing to do well, holding up the Russian brand's domination. Yesterday on the Dakar, there was no competitive stage mileage. That didn't mean that people had an easy ride, though. They still had to complete the mileage not against the clock from Tichit to Tajika. We're here in the depths of Mauritania and seemingly in the depths of what seems to be a week-long sandstorm. It really is not going away. The sandstorm prevented some of the aircraft taking off yesterday, so therefore the whole of the Dakar was split up. Half of it remained in Tichit, whilst the competitors continued on to Tajika. The KTM Red Bull USA squad, Chris Blaise, Kellen Walsh and Scott Harden, relaxed, as so did South Africa's Alfie Cox with a massage. The Mitsubishi crew continued up the road to Tajika as they awaited their service crews to set about the Mitsubishi Pajero Evo 3 machines. Nani Roma contemplating life on four wheels and contemplating what it could be like out there on two wheels. And the answer to that is this. These are pictures from people still in the stage from Zurat to Tichit. These guys are nearly 48 hours behind the rally. Here's Ari Vatanen coming into Tichit last night. He spent nearly 36 hours on the stage. Ran out of fuel, the diff was broken, but he was towed in by this lorry driver. The lorry driver saying, "I'm very happy because I had Ari Vatanen in my mirrors." Brilliant feeling. Vatanen saying, it was so difficult for me to get ahead. He was so strong. Other people calling home with the now seemingly everywhere satellite phone. Other people into Tichit, never been so happy to get hold of a wet wipe in all their lives. But they got stuck in a small celebratory glass of wine, and then they installed the road book for the stage, which of course had started nearly 12 hours earlier to Tajika, but they got on their way to make sure they were with the rally.
This January, high-kicking, hard-hitting Action X.
Are you ready? I'm ready.
Bloodsport, Death Warrant, In Hell, Double Impact, Derailed. Jean-Claude Van Damme, January, on Action X.
Today's stage, a short road section from Tajika to Attar before the main stage itself of 361 kilometers. All the way to Attar. sandstorm continued this morning at the start in Tajika as the locals saw people off. Even the locals were wrapped up to try and keep themselves safe against the sand. David Fretenier, by definition, first on the road today after having won the stage from Zurat to Tajik. Look at that landscape. How hard can it get? It was difficult for Fretenier though, because although he started first on the road, there is a gap of 2 minutes between each rider behind him. That meant that Fretenier was really there to be shot. All the others could only follow his dust, follow his tracks and catch him up. Remember that the others being on 660s and Fretenier being on a 450 single, the others have just got the legs upon him as Fretenier tried to break ahead with his Yamaha ahead of those pesky 660 KTMs. The KTMs though had the strength, they soon caught him up through the soft dunes. They were all together, everybody, the leading 6-7 riders in this year's Dakar, all travelling as one great big literal caravan out there in the desert. As Alfie Cox got roosted, David Fretenier then got stuck and roosted once more. Rooster your mate. Look how soft that sand is. Then David Fretenier got stuck in the sand momentarily. Look at that bike just dropping away down the other side of a broken dune. That sand so soft, almost like talcum powder, as they're paddling their way through, trying to get the machine going. And this is even before the first control points. Mark Comer started the stage, leading the rally overall, ahead of Cyril Desprez by a handful of seconds in over 18 hours of running. Andy Caldicott from Australia started the stage in third position, but it was all going to get mixed up once they had all travelled together during today's 361 kilometre stage. Then it got rocky towards the end of the stage. Comer, Fretenier coming through past your shot there as the sandstorm continued. At least it wasn't that hot, but then a defining moment. David Fretenier decided to go out on his own to try and find his own way. Would it be working for the Frenchman or would it backfire? The lighter 450 Yamaha nearly throwing Fretenier over the front of the bars, but if anybody's got motorcycle control on the Dakar, it is the Frenchman. A moment of solitude to work out where the hell he was going to go. Soon, though, they got to the refueling, and it was Fretenier who had the advantage. The gamble had paid off, he says. I saw the track ahead of me, but it was slightly to the right. I saw them go to the left, but I went right. I was sure it was the best way to go. Absolutely sure of it.
J'étais sûr de moi, donc je préfère m'écouter, et je crois que j'ai choisi la bonne option.
Well, David, it did work. Here's Fabrizio Mioni. Now, Mioni eventually had a good stage. He finished up second on the stage. Won't tell you who won it at the moment, but Mioni finished up second on the stage, well in touch with today's stage winner. Mioni now leads the rally overall. He's leapt up from 5th overall to lead. The winner of the stage, though, Esteve Puyol. Coming home the victor this evening, Esteve Puyol from Spain. He's jumped up 2 places in the overall standings from 8th to 6th.
At the moment, it's difficult to pull away. We're all on the same size motorcycle, so it's very difficult just to ride away in a straight line. Everybody has the same size engine, so sure, you know. Fretenier found a good way through the dunes, and yeah, he's a little bit in front, but I think it's very fast going home, and the smaller bike doesn't have a chance.
Absolutely right. Fretenier losing that advantage at the refueling for the motorcycles. How can we get an interview with Alfie Cox? Well, it's a 15-minute neutralised zone. In days of old, when it was just a free-for-all, it was a little bit chaotic and a little bit dangerous with all that fuel sloshing around, with riders tapping their wristwatches. Fretenier's gamble didn't pay off. He eventually fell down the order. He finished 15th today on the stage, 16 minutes behind the winner, Esteban Pujol. What a shame for the Frenchman, being so successful on the nimble 450 Yamaha, battling against the KTMs out of Mattighofen in Austria. Esteban Pujol rocking up the winner from Mioni. Palanders Ulavaseta from Norway finishing 3rd today. Andy Caldicott from South Australia 4th. Alfie Cox 5th today. Giovanni Sala 6th. Here's Marek Dabrowski from Poland. He got an 8th position today. Dabrowski 12th overall. Here's Sala 6th today. He's 9th overall. Esteban Pujol, victor of today's stage, 6th overall. So the Spaniard Esteban Pujol with his Repsol KTM being victorious ahead of Mioni Ulavaseta, Andy Caldicott and Alfie Cox. In the overall, Mioni leapfrogging up to the lead ahead of Dupre, Caldicott, Coma and Cox in 5th. Coma losing today the lead. Esteban Pujol 6th, Ulavaseta, David Fretenier still 8th, Sala and then Chris Blaise, the rookie, in 10th. Esteban Pujol saying this is my first day without any problems at all. I started in 9th this morning, 18 minutes after the leaders, but I caught them up. A perfect day. A good way to gain some minutes. A good way to jump up the overall standings.
Fabrizio Mioni
today now the overall leader, saying a difficult stage. Difficult because it was stony, soft in the sand, and just before the first control point my second trip was out. I had to do a lot of navigation only with my GPS and just the roadbook sometimes. I prefer to take my own way without following others, but sometimes I had to go back and take a different route. And at last, though, I think I've done a good job with my navigation. At the refueling point, I repaired my trip, and it was then easier for the last part of the stage. I made no mistakes. Good stage for navigation, as only the Dakar can really offer.
Quindi poteva andare meglio, ma in ogni caso va bene, una tappa di navigazione bella come bisogna qui alla Dakar.
Palanders Ulavaseta saying in front they made some mistakes with regards to the navigation. I caught them up. After that we were all together for most of the day. Then it was not easy to escape. We got lost a couple of times or so, but then we got back all together again. 80 minutes. "17 aeroplanes and 9 helicopters. The Dakar comprises of a small airport every day that needs to be set up in the middle of nowhere." These are pictures from Tichit in the middle of a sandstorm with aeroplanes coming in, port wing down a bit. It is not easy at all for the air traffic controllers. Up for other help from above. He says this is very, very difficult for us. Here we are on board with the C-130 Hercules that transports much of our TV equipment, landing on the dry lake bed that is Tichit. Difficult for even the most experienced of pilots.
Visibility this bad. We only saw the runway at about 1 to 2 kilometers, and that is very unusual. I mean, it's very difficult when you come down and you land, and only 1 kilometer before the runway you only see it because of the drifting sand. So landing itself is no problem. It's just getting to see the runway to land without any navigation aids. It's very difficult.
The right bearing of the
runway. There's no radar in many of these airfields. It's just done on GPS points and a lot of radio communication.
nous avons des placeurs pour
says we've got people to
aider au
help
guidage au sol et au stationnement des
all over
aéronefs.
the place. We've got
Nous avons
very,
des gens
very
de-
qualified
d'Air
people
Total,
from
qui sont détachés
Total
spécifiquement dans notre équipe
to make
pour,
coordination with
superviser
regards
ou-
to refueling,
ou
and
coordonner
also
tous les-
very
les
professional
habitants
air
en-
traffic
en
controllers
kérosène.
who help the pilots get
Nous
the
avons
planes
également des,
in the
contrôleurs
best
aériens
conditions
qui nous aident à faire de l'assistance
feasible.
en vol aux avions et de la formation en vol.
Many times, though, the situation is more critical. In the past at Tajika, there have been GPS points that have been wrong, and in years past, a civilian airline had a crash at Tajika, but we make sure that we get the correct GPS points on the Dakar. There are up to 400 people travelling by plane every day. Today, the stage from Tajika to Attar for the cars. It was a bit of a duel between Thierry Magnaldi with the broken vehicle and Stefan Orard with the 1.9 four-cylinder turbo diesel Volkswagen buggies. And likewise for Andrea Meyer. She came in very late, you'll remember, into Tchit. She had a lot of passing to do past the trucks that were lower down the order. The lone Schlesser buggy, the V6 Ford machine of Jose Maria Servio, got stuck in the sand and only just got out. Problems, though, for the former leader of this year's Dakar and former victor, Bruno Sabi from France, with his Volkswagen, stopped at kilometre number 130 on the 361-kilometre stage. Teammate Juha Kankkunen and Juha Repo stopping to help out Sabi and co-driver Michel Perrin. Sabi saying the wheel nuts came off. Can you believe it? We stopped, we put the wheel back on, we got going again, but then the wheel nuts came off again. This time they made sure that they were done up extra, extra tight. At the moment, at the time of this broadcast, still Stabi not yet in to the stage finish here in Attar this evening. Carlos Sousa from Portugal. He's having a good rally at the moment, is Sousa. At the moment, he's up to 4th position overall with his Nissan pickup, the latter model that is. He had problems with the suspension. The shock absorber oil was so hot, it just seized. He almost had no suspension at all during the end of the stage. Janil de Villiers from South Africa. He started today's stage 23 minutes late. He had a problem with the accelerator. He was on the back foot right from the word go. What could have been for de Villiers? Maybe he could have been 3rd on today's stage. Instead, he was 7th. The South African now holding 5th overall. Gregoire de Mavius, pictures of him here, not having the best of day rallies overall. He's down the order some 13 hours back, but de Mavius 6th on today's stage, only giving away 23 minutes with the older Nissan pickup. Here's Hiroshi Mashioka. You'll remember a few days ago he lost over 3 hours with suspension problems. Mashioka, though, really having been designated as chase car to Luc Alfond and Stefan Pederhansel with the sister Mitsubishi Evo 3s. He had 1 puncture today. That was the only thing that kept Mashioka back. Mashioka 5th on today's stage, but as I said, way down the order in the overall standings. Volkswagen, well, with Audi and the same colour scheme and the same sponsor, they've had a good year in 2004. They were victorious in the DTM in Germany with Matthias Ekström from Sweden, and that run of good fortune and good engineering seems to be rubbing off with the Volkswagens in this year's Dakar. Jutta Kleinschmidt now 3rd overall with her Touareg. She today 4th on the stage. Here's Robbie Gordon. He had a couple of punctures, but he managed to keep the momentum going. Robbie Gordon losing a little bit of time today. Robbie Gordon 13th overall, of course, after having lost all that time a few days ago with the roll. Robbie Gordon only losing 17 minutes today. What could have been without those problems en route here to Attar. Only 135 cars starting today's stage this morning, together with 167 motorbikes and 58 trucks. And then they still have got some very, very difficult stages still to go. Event director Etienne Levine saying if they thought that a couple of days ago was different, well, they better watch out for the day after the rest day and the day after. This Dakar will not lie down. Here is Stefan Pederhansel, second on today's stage, 1 minute and 31 seconds back of the stage victor, his teammate, Luc Alphonse. But we've got problems for Pederhansel this evening. He limped literally across the finish line. The engine was smoking. The right exhaust from the right bank of 3 cylinders in his Mitsubishi was smoking greatly. There was an enormous amount of oil on the edge of the exhaust. There was a lot of oil coming out of the breather, and that may bode badly for Pederhansel. But fortunately, he's got a rest day tomorrow. Unfortunately, the genius Japanese engineer who built the engine, who designed the engine, who knows the engine inside out, back to front, is here this evening, and he can do all he can to rebuild that engine. Winner of today's stage, his first on the Dakar with Mitsubishi, Luc Alphonse. Luc Alphonse getting to the finish ahead of Pederhansel, Gordon third, Kleinschmidt fourth. Now here is Luc Alphonse coming alongside the Qatari driver Nasser Al Attiyah. A massive accident for the Qatari with his BMW X5. Fortunately, Nasser uninjured. Co-driver Alain Guiec, a little winded, but up and walking and okay. Shame for Al Attiyah. He was holding fourth overall coming into today's stage, and it's all gone west. Here he says we were going pretty quickly. I don't know what happened. There was the double caution in the notes, and the car completely flipped over. We're okay, but the car has absolutely no chance of going any further. That was early on in the stage, and only 5 kilometers later, the same thing happened to his teammates. This is Luis Monterde from Spain. Dragged the car back onto its wheels, and soon they got it repaired, and amazingly got it back in the rally. His co-driver Rafael Tournebel saying there was this jump, not so big, but then we went right on our nose and over. Are you hurt, is the question? My leg is hurt a little, and so is my elbow, but I'm okay. Now this is the picture at the finish. This is Hiroshi Oka towing in Stefan Pederhansel. He decides not even to start it, to get it into service. So Alphonse being victorious with the Mitsubishi, just ahead of Pederhansel, who ran into trouble right on the line. Robbie Gordon third, Kleinschmidt fourth, De Villiers now fifth overall. Pederhansel, he's got the lead overall ahead of Luc Alphonse, but can Pederhansel get that engine repaired? Mashuoka now chase car for the leading 2 Mitsubishis ahead of Honrad, Magnaldi, Costa and Mitsuhashi overall. Pederhansel saying here, coming into Attar, we saw that we had a lot of smoke coming out of the exhaust. Nothing too much, he says. We'll see what we can do tomorrow during the rest day. We should be okay though. The winner, Alphonse, saying very, very soft sand out there. Not long, but just very soft. You know, this year we don't have any more the inflate-deflation system for the tires, so we've got to get in and out of the car to get over the rocky parts. We've got to have the right pressure in the tyre for the right part of the stage. But we had a couple of punctures.
It's kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. We did get lost one time where we ran the bike trail, and it was just rocky and rocky and rocky. And Dirk thinks maybe we lost 10 minutes there, plus we had 2 flat tires. So it's a good run for us, though. I mean, you know, we're not in the game by any means, but we're back where we're having fun racing a little bit at least, trying to win some stages.
Ja, wir haben
Kleinschmidt saying I had a couple of punctures, lost time, obviously, to change the tyres, and because I then only had one spare wheel left, I had to keep my pace down a bit so as not to get another one. But the Mitsus, they're quick in the sand. They've just got a bit more power than I have. The Russian Kamaz crew of Kabirov rocked up the winner of today's stage, the 361 kilometers from Tajika to Attar, ahead of Hans Becks, Vismara and Sugawara. Overall, Kabirov continues to lead with his Kamaz ahead of the Dutch crew of Hans Becks. 58 trucks starting today's stage from Tajika here to Attar. They will have, as everybody else will, a rest day tomorrow. That's everybody else except us. We'll of course continue to bring you coverage tomorrow during the rest day of the Telefonica Dakar 2005. Some spectators been out on the stage so long that the desert got the better of them. Gerard de Roy doing all that he can to try and keep up, together with his father Jan, with their Dutch-built DAF. But Gerard still really on the back foot after having lost time putting his truck on its side a couple of stages ago. Well, I rather think that the crews, everybody deserves a rest off Dakar competitive mileage tomorrow. It's a rest day at Attar. Join us tomorrow for the latest update of the Telefonica Dakar 2005.